Ever since 2005 and the original release of LEGO Star Wars, TT Games has been the go-to developer for the series, from adaptations of existing licenses to even original toy lines like LEGO City and Bionicle. But with how many games there have been, an overhaul would need to happen at some point. Said overhaul would arrive in 2022, with TT going back to a galaxy far, far away, with LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, released on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Nintendo Switch, with the Switch and Xbox One versions being discussed here. How did TT Games fare this time? Let's find out. As you would expect from a LEGO adaptation, the story takes the source material and adapts them into light-hearted romps with beloved characters in LEGO form. In this case, covering all 9 films, and yes, I do mean 9 films, in the Star Wars saga, with side films such as the Clone Wars, Rogue One, and Solo being put to the side, which I will discuss later. But what is here is, for the most part, a pretty well done retelling of the main films, featured as a lot of humor here puts a smile on your face, from both the slapstick and even the dialogue.
Is this what you always wear?
We're meeting the Supreme Leader. I dressed appropriately.
But communicating through the Force? That called for being shirtless?
It caught me by surprise. Enough of this. The Supreme Leader is waiting for us.
I bet he has his shirt on.
But of course, there are some misses, and for me, there is a big miss in its humor.
We need to save the babies.
Babies?
She's carrying twins.
After 2016, I feel that joke hasn't exactly aged well. Like, it's as uncomfortable as having Trini Kwan quipping about seatbelts, which happened in a Power Ranger crossover comic that released the same year as this game. No harm was likely meant, but yikes, on both accounts. Anyway, enough of the gloom? The gameplay of Skywalker Saga is, while still the simple pick-up-and-play action game, is a complete overhaul of the LEGO Star Wars games before it. How? For one, the combat is not really mash one base button for the same attack with an occasional force power or maybe a thermal detonator. Instead, it now encourages a more 2-button melee combat system with a combo system that rewards you with more LEGO studs after each successful chain. Hell, blaster-centric characters such as smugglers like Han, bounty hunters like the Fets, or just regular soldiers feel more like a pretty solid third-person shooter with a cover system and that same combo meter. Though the aerial combat remains an arcade-like experience, though one moment you are on rails a la Star Fox, or with the more open controlling levels akin to good old Rogue Squadron. There is also a bit of an RPG-like mechanic involving characters of all classes, which I will cover a little later. 2. The amount of explorable worlds to visit. From desert planets like Geonosis, Tatooine, and Jakku, the frozen tundra of Hoth, the city of Coruscant, the molten hell of Mustafar, among many others, all of which having appeared in all 9 of the main films. Hell, you can even travel through outer space, and when you're in space or on a planet, there is no shortage of what to do with the amount of side quests, and what to collect between unlockable ships, money, characters, and new to LEGO Star Wars, Kyber bricks. These go into the RPG mechanics I mentioned earlier, where if you have enough bricks and money, you can upgrade the abilities of your character classes, like force powers for Jedi and Sith, enhanced hacking for droids or soldiers that can get you even more money, or supplies for your scavengers like Rey before her Jedi training, or the lovable Ewok, Wicket. You can even get into space battles with a capital ship, which can end in its destruction or being able to storm said capital ship and being able to buy it like anything else. Still, there's something so poetic about having Rey exploring not only Tatooine but frickin' Naboo to help people, or hell, having Wedge Antilles blow up battle droids on Geonosis. Hey, anybody remember Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike? Or having Luke Skywalker explore Mustafar. And 3, with the main missions themselves. Sure, you still have to grab enough studs to get the true Jedi ranking, which can reward you up to 3 Kyber bricks this time, but alongside many kit pieces, there are some optional side quests in each level, and a completion of those will also earn you 1 more Kyber brick. And with what arrived here in the base game is something I adore, as it makes this the most packed LEGO game in years, adding so much replay value. Though while I credit the huge cast of characters to play, I do miss the character creator, especially after the mechanic was improved with LEGO Marvel 2. What I hate, though, with the extra content is thankfully not in the base game, but with the DLC. The DLC are all character packs, which are all content from movies like Rogue One and Solo, as well as series like The Mandalorian, Clone Wars, and even the more adult-oriented Andor. So characters like Ahsoka Tano, Chirrut Imwe, Fennec Shand, and even Din Djarin, accompanied by little Grogu, formerly known as Baby Yoda, whom I remember from when he was only a joke between a succubus that oddly shares her name with the Mandalorian, and said succubus human best friend forever, are only accessible through these DLC packs. But if you were hoping Ahsoka would quip with Anakin, forget about it, because DLC characters don't have any voice acting, nor do they have levels to represent their source material like some LEGO games past, a la the previous 2 LEGO Marvel games, which, unless you have to have a LEGO virtual Pedro Pascal or Donnie Yen in silent form, really bites and makes you wonder if it was worth the extra money at all. But speaking of voice acting, the game does contain a cast that consists of Star Wars veterans, like from voice projects past.
I shouldn't have come back.
Chewbacca, Tarthol. In grave danger, we are.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground! You are the chosen one! I hate you!
And even some of the live actors lending their roles, like Daniel Logan as an adult Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, bounty hunter, jetpack mechanic, delivery man.
And Billy D. Williams reprising his role as Lando like he did in Jedi Outcast, all the way back in 2002.
Now,
Leia sent me a transmission.
General Calrissian, we're looking for Exegol.
Luke and I were tailing an old relic hunter.
You two have had another one of your fights, haven't you? Well, come on, let's go. You can buy some flowers on Besman.
You even have some talent that do some decent voice doubling of the movie actors.
What a piece of junk!
I failed you, Dan. I'm sorry.
I'm sure you are.
We're over Tatooine. This will be safer with an old friend.
So all in all, paired with the John Williams score and iconic sound, it still feels like the Star Wars game you come to expect. To end, the visuals also look fantastic on both platforms I played the game on. For both the previous gen Xbox One, especially the X, and the Switch, which is considered underpowered and both play wonderfully too. Overall, LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is perhaps the ultimate LEGO Star Wars experience, with many worlds to explore and several side quests to partake in, with the most fun gameplay in years. Get it on anything.